Okay, I just noticed that my replacement part, the only thing that I can see, there is a little sort of cloth inlay, which is effectively a speaker grill, which goes in the speaker cover, and it doesn't look like the new one has that. So I'm going to need to take that one out of here. What I've just done is removed the begun to remove the screen. So on the forward part of the screen there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws, and these are just covered by little rubber caps which look a little bit like that, and you just prise them out with a screwdriver. They come out pretty easily, and then it's 5 tri-wing screws which are all the same size. And then there is also one screw hiding just underneath the ribbon cable, which I'm now going to remove, and that's just a crosshead. There we go, and that is that removed. So we have now, I think, pretty much totally disassembled it. So I'm just going to leave that in there to keep it safe for the moment. Right, so we're just removing the hinges now, and looks like these just simply push out. Alright, we've got one white one and one black one. The white one is from the side nearest the A and B buttons, and the black one is nearest the D-pad. So I'm not actually sure if there's a big difference, but I'm just, seems a little bit reluctant to come out. There we go, just push it. They do look pretty identical, but I'm just going to make sure I install those the right way around. Now that is the Gameboy Advance SP pretty much totally taken apart, and now what we've got to do is build it back up. So it's just a matter of reversing the process, and so I'm going to start to crack on with that. Okay, so the hinges, which on the old one are the 2 bits that go here and here, they were real trouble. Took me a while, it's taken me about half an hour or so playing around to get it right. Basically you have the black one that goes on this side and the white one that goes on this side, but they have to go in the right way, and then when you put the lid back on, which I've got the old lid here, you basically have to do it so they align, and the angle for alignment is about sort of 150 degrees, as if the Game Boy when it's normally open. Now I sort of figured it out by trial and error. I've drawn a little diagram, it's not very good, but basically if you look at the lugs, they've got 2 metal bits. One's on the top side, which is the metal lugs that look like that, and one's on the underside. If you have a close look at yours, then that might make some sense to you, but basically you want to make sure that the 2 metal lugs that kind of look not like they don't fit in together, they go facing upwards, so that's towards you, and the ones that look like they do clip together, they go on the underside, so like facing downwards. You'll know that you've got it right because when you open the Game Boy, it will snap to that 150 degrees position. If it's sort of floppy, then you're going to have to take them out and get them in. Like I say, it's pretty fiddly, so just be patient with it. And yeah, this is the position that you've got to put it back together, so you kind of need to hold it at 150 degrees as you're putting the lugs in from the side. But it's a difficult one to explain, and yeah, it took me a while. Okay, so I'm sort of starting to put it back together now, and it's just the reverse process. Once you've got those 2 lugs in, it gets a little bit easier. Finding that the tri-head screws are a bit of a nightmare. They come out not too bad, but going back in is real trouble, and it's a pretty poor design head screws, I guess. I don't know why Nintendo do that on purpose to stop people taking them apart, but disassembling them. But anyway, I've struggled to get them back in, but I have done. One thing that you'll want to make sure is when you're putting the ribbon cable back on the main board, which is, if I just flip it over, it's obviously on the other side. I can't show you because I've started to screw it back in, but you want to make sure that the ribbon cable is fully inserted into the slot it goes in before you clip down the brown clips. I didn't do this properly, and I've just tested it, and the screen didn't come on, so I've had to take it back apart and then re-clip the cable. So you want to make sure that the ribbon cable is all the way in. It's a bit of a fiddly task to do, but it took me a couple of minutes. Okay, I'm going to finish putting this up together, and then I'll just show you the finished product. Okay, sorry, just before, another thing that's worth mentioning is when you're about to put the cover on, is make sure that you have the power button, which doesn't actually click on this slider. It's like a slider, so you'll see, you won't be able to see on this camera, but actually on the motherboard it is printed off and on. Off is in the position towards the sort of front of the console, so you want to make sure it's off, and then same with the slider. When you clip that into place, you want to make sure that is facing the same position, so down towards the front in the off position, so they will align and it will clip on. Okay, so just about finished. Here is now the old shell, which is a shell, and here is a new one, so looking pretty new. All back together okay. Guess the final test is to see if it powers on okay. There we go, we've got sound, we've got a working screen. Just check the volume works okay, yeah, and then we can just check the buttons, yeah, and backlight's still working. So yeah, all in all, pretty good. One thing that I would, the little end caps, which are these things. Now, make sure you put them on before you assemble the whole thing, because they actually, if you can see in there, there's a little metal bit, and there's actually a groove in there for it to go onto, so you need to put these on before you assemble it. I've only just realised that, and I put the whole thing back together. I'm not too bothered about those bits there, but it's just something to be aware of. Make sure you put them on before you're putting the hinges back in. Otherwise you have to take the whole thing apart again, and I'm not prepared to do that, so I can live with that. But just a little final tip. Okay, I hope that's been useful for you, and good luck. Overall, I would just say that it's not a particularly easy task. It's taken me probably best part of 3 hours, and I'm reasonably good at taking apart and working with small electronics, watches and computers and stuff like that. Never taken one of these apart before, so a bit of a learning curve. But you're gonna require quite a bit of patience and quite a bit of time, and but you should be okay as long as you just stick to that. Just don't force anything, and yeah, good luck. Cheers, bye bye.